What's going on, guys? So yesterday I tore this apart. This is my Glock 19 Generation 3 BB pistol, semi-automatic, non-blowback, so this doesn't move. It's fixed. But yeah, I haven't seen any like teardown videos of this, just for like general maintenance. You shouldn't have to do anything to this thing because there's not very many moving parts. Just a couple things that move around in this. But yeah, I took it apart yesterday just to see what I'm getting into, and it's not that complicated. And yeah, this thing is it's like $100. Maybe you can get it. Well, I think on Amazon it's like $70, so it's pretty cheap. It's sort of popular because it's so cheap, and yeah, it's just a replica Glock 19 Generation 3. So I'm just gonna check. I don't have any CO2s in here, but I'm pretty sure I don't because I haven't like used this since I broke it down. So I'm just gonna take off the handle because it's probably gonna get in the way later. What you have to do, basically, you'll need silicone grease and oil, silicone oil. It doesn't have to be this brand, but you know, some sort of lubrication for the inside. These are sort of optional. You don't need these 100%. So picks. You will need a small screwdriver. I think this is like number 1, or it's a small, like Phillips 0 or something. And this is also optional. You can use a flathead screwdriver too, but I used a 5/64 Allen key for the valve in here, the valve cap, and I'll get to that eventually. But you can use a flathead screwdriver, but this seemed to work better for me. So what you have to do to start off is remove this screw that's underneath the slide right here. So I'm gonna loosen that up, and this one screw is the only one that's a different length than all the other ones. So all the rest of the screws in this are all the same length and everything, but put this one off to the side in its own little pile so that you don't get them mixed up with the other screws. But yeah, this is like the lone screw that's this short kind of length. So I'm going to put that over here, and from this point you can, if you're holding the Glock with the barrel facing to the left, pull this top slide that way and it moves, and then you want to just carefully lift it up and kind of like lift up and pull forward, or pull back to the left. So what you're doing is basically loosening the barrel from the slide. So when we put this back, it's a little bit tricky to put it back because you have to line up the spring and the barrel. You have to get it to fit in that hole that's in the slide. Right there. So you could practice that before you go full on disassembly, but you kind of just like angle the front of the slide down to the front of the mark or the BB pistol, and then kind of you'll find the entrance, because we're trying to put the barrel back in this slide, and you just have to line it up, and then once it lines up, it should press in there easily. Because yeah, when you pull the trigger, I should have showed it before I pulled this off. When you pull the trigger, the barrel kind of like extends out and up into the slide. So let me put this back and I'll be right back. All right, yeah, it took me like a minute or two, but when this isn't secured, I just put the slide back on top of the barrel with the spring and all that. So when you pull this trigger, the barrel extends out. You can see it right here. The barrel extends out the front of the slide. So you just got to play tug of war with this spring a little bit. Putting the slide back is one of the trickier parts with this, but it's generally pretty easy. So when you take the slide off, you can get your finger and pull this part out, and the only parts that can come off are the spring and this kind of like guide, I guess. So I'm gonna put grease on this later because I've never put grease on it. I did put oil and stuff in the valve yesterday, but yeah, you don't need to, but you can. It's not bad to put grease on these. There's a like a C clip or an E clip on this. I'm not going to take it off because there's no need for me to do that. But yeah, I'm going to put grease and stuff on all these parts. So from there, you're pretty much like done, sort of. But there is stuff you can take apart here. So on the when you turn this around and face it to the right, barrel facing to the right, there's I think 8 screws or 7 screws. So there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's 2 on the handle, there's this one, and that's it. So there's 7 screws. You don't have to worry about the trigger falling out or nothing like that. The only part that you can remove at this point is the barrel and the guide. So I'm going to take these screws out. I'm going to loosen them up. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, I loosened up the screws. I'm just going to get a magnet and pull them all out. All of these screws are all the same length. They're all the same width. So you don't have to worry about getting these mixed up or anything. The only one that I'm putting aside by itself is the barrel slide screw. So all the rest of these are all the same, everything. So I'm just getting a magnet and pulling them out. I'm just going to pile them over here because yeah, all of them are the same. And when I reassembled this yesterday, I forgot to separate my barrel slide screw, or the slide screw, and then I had to take them all out and then find the one that was shorter. I'm not sure how big of a difference it'll make. It probably wouldn't make much of a difference if you have the slide screw in the wrong internal or the trigger one. Like if you swap it, probably won't make a huge difference, but it is slightly shorter. The barrel, or not the barrel, the slide screw, it's the shortest one. So all my screws are over here, and the barrel one or the slide one is up here. And from here, you can pull this up. So trigger should stay in. The only thing that you can remove once I pull this top or this other side of the shell is you can pull this like weighted piece in the front out, and you can pull this sear out of here. And nothing should pop out. You should be okay. There is a spring in the magazine release, but I'll show you that later. But this should be relatively safe to pull apart. You shouldn't have anything flying across the room or like something going bonkers. And you can get like a flathead screwdriver if you want, but I usually just kind of like slowly pull this apart from the front. And then you can get your fingers in the CO2 area and kind of pry it open a little bit. So something did pop off when I pulled it from the front, but I think it's just the yeah, it's just the sear. So this came off pretty easy. The sear has a spring on it. It shouldn't pop off because it's kind of held in place by a like a little nub and like a little tit or something right here. So there's an area in the shell for this to hinge on, and that's what this is and this is. And there's a hole right here in the shell to put that, and then the spring rests in here. So if that didn't come apart when I pulled apart the plastic shell, it would look like this. And you don't have to take the trigger out. I'm just going to leave it in there. There is a spring putting tension on it right here. So I don't want to have to screw around with that. So obviously this can just come out, and you can align it with the serial number. It goes in this little area right here. So that just lines up. There's no moving parts in this. This is just like a weight so that this marker actually weighs something. Because without this, it's super lightweight without this piece in. So yeah, you can just put that to the side. Put your sear for the trigger. Put that to the side. Just be careful with the spring. It shouldn't pop out, but just be careful with it. if you want to see how this works, you can hold on to the pin right here and pull the trigger. But yeah, I don't want to pull this one off because then I'll have to retension this. And the other half of that spring is inside of the trigger area, kind of right here where the screwdriver's touching. So the magazine release, it was giving me a little bit of trouble yesterday putting this back because it's kind of a tight fit. And I'll show you how to fix that later. But it should be safe in here, just like this. But if you want to, you can pull it out. So I just kind of like push the mag release down this way. And there's a plastic like arm right here. And that's inside of the magazine release. So just kind of like push it in and it should come out. I'll do this after. It'll be easier after because now we're going to take off the CO2 housing. This is 2 separate pieces. And then you have to take this piece out. So this piece, I'll show you how to orient it. I got kind of confused when I took it apart yesterday, but there is a spring up here that you have to be careful with because mine actually flew out and I lost it for like 20 minutes. And then I was walking around in my room and I felt it on my foot and I was like, oh, sweet, there it is. So what I usually do is I'll put my finger right here and pull up on this CO2 housing and you'll see it move right now. If this doesn't want to come out, it'll separate right here and then I'll just pull the CO2 housing out. So I'll just do that for now. So I'm going to put my thumb on the valve and on that plastic piece with the spring on it. And I'm just kind of like, oh shit, all right. Actually, there's screws in here. Forgot about that. So there's 3 screws in this CO2 housing. And they should come out pretty quick. I probably won't pause it for this because this shouldn't take that long to unscrew these. And yeah, these are the same length as the other ones. So all these screws are the same except for the barrel slide screw. So I'm just unscrewing all these. There's 3 of these that are holding the housing in, the CO2 housing. And that's it for all the screws basically that are holding this piece, this BB pistol together. Shouldn't be any more screws after this besides like the valve stuff. So I'm just taking these out. There goes one. And this is the last one. And that's it. So you have a pile of screws. I think there's 10 total that are all the same length. And then there's 1 for the barrel slide. So now this can come out. I'm going to put my thumb up here. I'm going to kind of wiggle this. And if that's not wanting to go, you can kind of lift this up, but just be careful with that spring. So it's not too hard. It's already pulling out. I just pulled out right now. So you can lift this up and out to take it out. So this other half just popped off on me. And that's totally fine. That square and these 2 holes right here, they fit in this on these like pins. So I'm gonna twist this and pull it out. I'm just being careful with that little plastic box that's in front because I don't want that spring to go flying across my kitchen. And I got that out. So there is a metal piece in here that can come out. And with this plastic thing, it's basically like the detent. You can just kind of lift it up. And that spring isn't under too much tension, but it goes, you can see on the sides right here, there's like notches, like a flat part right here and right here. That flat part faces forward, and this can come out, this washer thing and the spring, so that can come out. And you want these 3 little pegs facing up and these flat parts facing to the right, like the exit of the barrel or the entrance to the barrel, and the air's pushing this out going that way. And then this should be facing upwards. These 3 little nubs on top. And the spring and this detent goes right here. The back of it is just open, and the bottom, this is for the magazine for the follower to not the follower, the detent in the magazine. It's to put pressure on this little nub right here. It's kind of hard to see because everything's black. But at the top of your magazine, there's like a little, like a nub thing. And that keeps the balls in. Mine's kind of weak, so it kind of pops out all the time. But yeah, this part of the plastic thing pushes down against that so that the balls can get fed into this easily. So I'm just going to put this over here to the side. It's kind of like the detent and the breech, I guess. And this is okay to just be off by itself. This part is, it fits into the breech, and it just goes like this. And this is okay that it falls out, but you need this to be in here the right way. You can't put it backwards. It won't let you put it backwards. So it only fits in this way. So yeah, this is, I think this is kind of like pushing against the BB a little bit. And this is the main part of the valve. You can get a flathead screwdriver. It'd have to be a really wide blade one and twist this. I didn't have one with me yesterday, so I just used an Allen wrench. That's why I have this, I forgot what size it was, like 5/64 Allen wrench. Mine was pretty snug, so I didn't tighten it down super hard, but it will open eventually. And obviously you're going to twist it to the left, like counterclockwise, to loosen it. But yeah, it was putting up a fight yesterday. And then once I opened this, I re-oiled and everything, all the insides, because there's like 3 different seals or washers or O-rings in here. So I'm just trying to loosen this. Might be a second. And yeah, you can use a flathead screwdriver, but this is kind of like soft metal. It's like zinc or lead or something, so it's kind of soft. So I'm getting some turning on this, which is good. And I just hold it with my thumb and then twist it with my hand. So this is kind of tight. There's a weird looking seal in here, and I don't think you can do anything to the back. Like you can't put like an Allen key in this and turn it. You just have to turn this flathead screwdriver thing, the valve cap. So this should be good to twist with my hand now. So there's one spring in here, and it's not under too much tension, so you're not going to have to worry about it like flying out or falling across the room or whatever. So you can hold this like this and take everything out. There's a seal, a big seal and a small seal. The small seal butts up against a washer I'm going to show you in a second, and the large seal seals off the valve. So there's a washer in here. This is the pin, firing pin. Has 2 holes on each side. And then this is what lets air out and propel the BB forward. So this goes in here like that, with the hollow end facing outward, because that's what's pushing the ball out, like pushing the gas, the air, to blow it out. I'm not sure if I can open these up anymore, these holes, because there's not much material to work with right here. I'm going to fix my lights really quick. So yeah, this valve pin, there's not much material, so I'm not sure if I can do anything to this to make more air get expelled out of this. I mean, maybe I could try cutting it, but it's not beyond me. I just don't want to. You can't buy parts for these things. You'd have to just buy a junk gun and then swap out parts and stuff. So unless there is a way to buy parts from Umarex. So the pick, you can use it to pull the washer and seal, O-ring seal, out of the back of the cap. So I'm just pulling this out. There's a washer in there. You shouldn't have to take it out, but you can. It's pretty easy. Just don't stab into it. It should come out relatively easily. And that's what's in the back of this cap. So there's 3 total green O-ring things in this valve. There's one in the actual cap, and then one that seals, like the main seal. Pretty sure it plugs up like right here, and the last one is the valve stem or firing pin seal. So I already put oil in this, but I'll just do it again. That's all the pieces for your valve, and I'll show you which way to put the spring back in and all that. So I'm just going to put one little drop on the main seal, put one drop on the valve seal, kind of let gravity spin this, get that oil in there, and then I'll put a drop on the back of the cap because that's where that little green O-ring goes. Pick it up with the pick, put it on the back of the valve, push it in there, get this washer, put the washer in there, flatten it down, make sure it's not like crooked and stuff. So this is good. So to put this, assemble this back, the spring, it has a narrow end and a wide end. This one's pretty wide and this one's pretty narrow. Not super narrow, but kind of narrow. The narrow end goes on the part of the firing pin that has no holes. So like that. And then the big part of the spring fits on the cap. On the back of the cap, it's holding that washer down. So I don't think you can put this backwards. Like it'll not work correctly. It'll be all funky. Yeah, you don't want the spring to be looking like this. Like going over the middle of the firing pin. So if yours looks like that, you didn't put it back together correctly. So anyway, just put that in there. Put this like this. And everything in here has oil and stuff now, like a fresh coat of oil. So I'm just going to put this back. And it should line up with that hole in the front of the valve. So there, it's all lined up now. And then you just have to push this back down and just kind of slowly twist it. Once the threads grab, you can tighten it down with the with the Allen wrench, or if you have a flathead screwdriver, tighten it down with the flathead screwdriver. So yeah, pretty easy. It's not too hard. The hardest part is putting the slide back onto the marker, which is like the very end of this teardown maintenance kind of thing, and putting the CO2 housing back, because yeah, sometimes the mag release can kind of be a little bit of a little bee to put it back. So I don't think you need grease or anything for this. I mean, you can if you want, but I don't think it needs it. Shouldn't need it. So that's just going to go in there. I'll put one drop of oil in there, even though it probably doesn't even need it. And yeah, let me put this back together. So that's pretty much all that's in here. It's way different than any other BB gun I've taken apart. And we're going to put this breech back. So 3 little nub things sticking out the top go up, and the notches on the edge face outward, like the way that the ball flies out the barrel. So there is a little like step right here that you can get the spring caught underneath, and just be careful with the spring. You don't want it to fly off, because it will fly off, because it flew off on me. And yeah, you just gotta get it in there, and it's pretty much like sitting square in there right now. And I'm gonna get the valve and the this seat thing, whatever this is. This has to go in here, and it has to fit inside that hole right there. So I have to get this in here, but just be careful with the spring. That's the biggest thing you gotta be careful with. And once you get that in there, see it just pops in pretty easily. You can just put this back and tighten down the screws and then reassemble the whole thing. So this will take me a second because I got some tension in here and I don't want this to fly off. So there it goes. It just went in and that just fell down, so that's good. And yeah, this shouldn't fly out. You just don't want to like jiggle it and then make it go poof and fly off. And the spring, the trigger is fine, as long as you're not like shaking this around all crazy. I'm gonna put my sear back. So yeah, these edges on the left and right of this thing, one of them fits in here and the other one will fit on the other side of the shell once we start assembling it back. You shouldn't need to put grease or anything on this. You can if you want, but it doesn't need it. I don't see any reason why it would need it. Not at this point. Mine's not worn out or anything. And we got this weight thing. Put that in right here. It won't go backwards. And you can't put it like upside down. So it only fits in one way. So that's in. So the hardest part is getting this back half of the mag release to fit in this notch and line up like that pin and this pin with the shell. So this might take me like a minute, but it might be easier now that I've done it once. But the first time I did it, I was having some trouble getting it back together because this part was pissing me off. And what I ended up doing was I got a, you can use a flathead screwdriver or a pick or something. And I put it in here and then pushed the magazine release, like put pressure on it to go forward. And then I was able to line this up easier. So it should easily go back together. It did yesterday. So I'm putting pressure on the mag release to go forward a little bit. And then, yeah, just snap together really easily. So that might be like the easiest thing to do, is just skip all the frustration, put a flathead screwdriver or something in here and push it forward to get this mag release to easily pop. So I'm just gonna check that everything is cool in here and it looks lined up. This sear caught right here on this other side of the shell. It's inside the empty part of the marker or the BB pistol, and there's no weird like seam or anything. And pull the trigger, it's acting normal because there's no this isn't in here, so it's not gonna like make any noises really. So yeah, this seems fine. One thing I forgot to do is put the screws in that CO2 housing, so don't be me and put it all back together without putting the screws in. So now I'm gonna take this apart. I'll be right back. All right, yeah, so I forgot to put these 3 screws back into this. I'm gonna do that right now, and they all fit. Any of them fit any of the holes. So you don't have to tighten them down super crazy, but just make sure they're snug in there. And I'll just do this probably off camera, and then put the shell back and start recording again. All right, guys, I was wrong. These 3 screws are actually shorter. They're actually the same length as the barrel, the slide screw. So yeah, you will want to have 2 piles of screws. One pile of the short ones, which 3 of them are for this, and 1 of them is for the slide. And then the other 7 screws are for the like main housing, like these screws. So I'll be right back. All right, part 2 of putting the shell back. So yeah, everything looks fine now. I'm gonna put this back, see if I could do it, but I think I need the pick to put pressure on this mag release, and then it should fall back in pretty easily. And you can kind of see the pick through the handle, through this little seam right here. So yeah, now this is all back together. I'm gonna put the screws back in here, the 7 screws that I have over here in this pile, and I'll put grease and stuff on this barrel slide, so I'll be right back. All right, you guys, 7 screws are in. They're all tightened down. You don't need to tighten them too much because there's not very many moving parts. So compared to like the blowback version of this, or like the Glock 17 Gen 3 blowback or Glock 17 Gen 5 blowback, there's not going to be a bunch of vibrations and stuff shaking the screws loose. So yeah, I pretty much tighten them down and then I turn them back like a quarter turn or something, just so they're not super tight. And this barrel and like sear thing and all this stuff, this really easily just goes into the front. Like there's almost no way to do it wrong. The only thing you have to do is line up this this front piece, this thing. You just have to put the edges, those like notched parts, you just have to line those up with the housing to be in this little groove on the left and right side. And then now this should function perfectly fine. And I'm gonna put the spring back. I'm gonna put some grease and stuff on this. So yeah, this shouldn't take that much longer. I disassembled this yesterday just in my room, and I was like, oh, this is actually not that hard to put together. So this is just like paintball marker grease, silicone grease, and yeah, most stuff I see about this particular marker or paintball BB pistol, is that it's very low maintenance, and it pretty much is because there's not very many moving parts. So you should just probably have to do this like, depending how much you use your Glock 19 Gen 3 BB pistol, either like 0 times a year or like 1 time a year. And I've had this for about a year now, and I haven't shot excessive amounts of BBs through it, but I just like to tear things apart and look at the inside. Now that I've taken apart a lot of different markers, like paintball stuff and less lethal markers and other BB guns and stuff, I have like more experience at doing this, so I'm kind of more confident with my skills, I guess you could say. So I'm just checking that this works, and it seems to be fine. I put grease on the spring and barrel and on the part that goes in here. You just have to line up this part. You have to line this part up with that in there, like right here. And that's that little black plastic square piece with the spring on top of it, which is a detent, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna air this up after I put the slide back. I'm gonna air it up to see if it's holding air, and it should be fine. Yeah, there you go. So I'm gonna put the slide back on, and you shouldn't need any grease for this, for the slide. I mean, you can if you want, you can put some in the front, but it's just gonna get pushed out eventually. So I'll put some right there, but it's just gonna go away probably pretty quickly. And yeah, I'm just gonna put this back. So you just have to line up the spring and the barrel. It has to fit in there, and then you have to put pressure to push it together. It's kind of hard to explain how to do it. It took me a couple minutes to figure out how to do it, and this part is like the hardest part of putting this back together, aside from putting the other half of the casing back on with the mag release. So that just went in right now, and I'm gonna pull the trigger to make sure that the barrel is moving. So it looks fine. Try to get some of this grease off of it. But yeah, we're pretty much done. I'm gonna put that screw back in here, and then I'm gonna get my remote line and air adapter thing, and then air it up and see if I have any weird leaks or anything weird happening, but it should be fine. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, this is my remote line adapter. It's from this company. I got it from Pyramid Air. It's a bulk fill adapter for the Crossman DPMS SBR. I've used this in a few different videos. It fits in a lot of my BB guns that I have. The only one it doesn't work in is the XBG, Umarex XBG. So you just line it up with the seal down there, and then you just have to like finger tighten it. You don't have to get a wrench and tighten it down all crazy. It should be fine. And basically I can use like a big tank like this, or a CO2 tank, instead of a 12-gram CO2. And this HPA tank I have has about 1,000 psi in it. The output is 800, so I have it connected now, and I'm going to air it up. I have a little leak, but I think it's from my connection right here. So I'm going to fire it. So it's working. I'm going to check if my pipe thing is attached tight enough, so I'll be right back. Alright, you guys, I'm outside. I'm going to use a actual CO2. I either have to tighten my valve a little bit more, the back cap, or my seal is leaking, one of the two, I'm not sure. So I'm going to put some BBs in my mag. I'll be right back. So yeah, I have a little leak still, but I think I just need to tighten the valve cap a little bit more. So yeah, I'm gonna take it apart, tighten up the valve, because I think I left it a little bit loose. But yeah, that's how you maintenance this. Alright, you guys, quick tip: if you need to tighten your valve cap, you can just take the slide off, put a flathead screwdriver in there, and let her rip. So I tightened it down pretty good. I'm gonna try airing it up right now. Alright, you guys, yeah, my valve cap was just kind of loose because there's pressure in this. I'm using my airline again, and it's quiet AF. I have the back of this, which is where the valve cap is. I have this like next to the mic, and you don't hear anything. So yeah, it's good. I just needed to tighten up my valve cap a little bit, and I'm just always scared of stripping that soft metal because it's like zinc or lead or something. It's sort of soft. But yeah, that's how you maintenance your Glock 19 Gen 3, and I'll be using this in future videos. Just kind of sprinkled in here and there because most of my content is for like the less lethal crowd, but I like to throw in BB guns and stuff every once in a while. So thanks for checking it out. Sorry I got kind of long, and I'm just gonna degas this thing, and I will see you guys in a later video in the future. So man, fingers are tired. Anyways, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you next time.